المفاتيح.
صلى الله على محمد وآل محمد. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أفتتح الثناء بحمدك وأنت مسدد للصواب بمنك، وأيقنت أنك أنت أرحم الراحمين في موضع العفو والرحمة، وأشد المعاقبين في موضع النكال والنقمة، وأعظم المتجبرين في موضع الكبرياء والعظمة. اللهم أذنت لي في دعائك ومسألتك، فاسمع يا سميع مدحتي، وأجب يا رحيم دعوتي، وأقل يا غفور عثرتي. فكم يا إلهي من كربة قد فرجتها، وهموم قد كشفتها، وعثرة قد أقلتها، ورحمة قد نشرتها، وحلقة بلاء قد فككتها. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا، ولم يكن له شريك في الملك، ولم يكن له ولي من الذل، وكبره تكبيرا. الله أكبر، الله أكبر، الله أكبر. الحمد لله بجميع محامده كلها، على جميع نعمه كلها. الحمد لله الذي لا مضاد له في ملكه، ولا منازع له في أمره. الحمد لله الذي لا شريك له في خلقه، ولا شبيه له في عظمته. الحمد لله الفاشي في الخلق أمره وحمده، الظاهر بالكرم مجده، الباسط بالجود يده، الذي لا تنقص خزائنه ولا تزيده كثرة العطاء إلا جودا وكرما. إنه هو العزيز الوهاب. اللهم إني أسألك قليلا من كثير، مع حاجة بي إليه عظيما، وغناك عنه قديم، وهو عندي كثير، وهو عليك سهل يسير. اللهم إن عفوك عن ذنبي وتجاوزك عن خطيئتي وصفحك عن ظلمي وسترك على قبيح عملي وحلمك عن كثير جرمي عندما كان من خطئي وعمدي أطمعني في أن أسألك ما لا أستوجبه منك، الذي رزقتني من رحمتك وأريتني من قدرتك وعرفتني من إجابتك، فصرت أدعوك آمنا وأسألك مستأنسا لا خائفا ولا وجلا، مدلا عليك فيما قصدت فيه إليك، فإن أبطأ عني عتبت بجهلي عليك، ولعل الذي أبطأ عني هو خير لي لعلمك بعاقبة الأمور. فلم أر مولا كريما أصبر على عبد لئيما منك علي، يا ربي إنك تدعوني فأولي عنك وتتحبب إلي فأتبغض إليك وتتودد إلي فلا أقبل منك، كأن للتطول عليك، فلم يمنعك ذلك من الرحمة لي والإحسان إلي والتفضل علي بجودك وكرمك، فارحم عبدك الجاهل وجد عليه بفضل إحسانك إنك جواد كريم. الحمد لله المالك الملك مجري الفلك مسخر الرياح فالق الإصباح، ديان الدين رب العالمين. الحمد لله على حلمه بعد علمه، والحمد لله على عفوه بعد قدرته، والحمد لله على طول أناته في غضبه وهو قادر على ما يريد. الحمد لله خالق الخلق باسط الرزق فالق الإصباح ذي الجلال والإكرام والفضل والإنعام، الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى. الحمد لله الذي ليس له منازع يعادله ولا شبيه يشاكله ولا ظهير يعاضده، قهر بعزته العزاء وتواضع لعظمته العظماء فبلغ بقدرته ما يشاء. الحمد لله الذي يجيبني حين أنادي ويستر علي كل عورة وأنا عاصي، ويعظم النعمة علي فلا أجازي، فكم من موهبة هنيئة قد أعطاني وعظيمة مخوفة قد كفاني وبهجة مونقة قد أراني، فأثني عليه حامدا وأذكره مسبحا. الحمد لله الذي لا يهتك حجابه ولا يغلق بابه ولا يرد سائله ولا يخيب آمله. الحمد لله الذي يؤمن الخائفين وينجي الصالحين ويرفع المستضعفين ويضع المستكبرين، ويهلك ملوكا ويستخلف آخرين. والحمد لله قاصم الجبارين مبير الظالمين مدرك الهاربين نكال الظالمين صريخ المستصرخين موضع حاجات الطالبين معتمد المؤمنين. الحمد لله الذي من خشيته ترعد السماء وسكانها وترجف الأرض وعمارها وتموج البحار ومن يسبح في غمراتها. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الحمد لله الذي يخلق ولم يخلق ويرزق ولا يرزق ويطعم ولا يطعم ويميت الأحياء ويحيي الموتى وهو حي لا يموت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وأمينك وصفيك وحبيبك وخيرتك من خلقك وحافظ سرك وبلغ رسالاتك. أفضل وأحسن وأجمل وأكمل وأزكى وأنمى وأطيب وأطهر وأسنى وأكثر ما صليت وباركت وترحمت وتحننت وسلمت على أحد من عبادك وأنبيائك ورسلك وصفوتك وأهل الكرامة عليك من خلقك. اللهم وصل على علي أمير المؤمنين ووصي رسول رب العالمين عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآيتك الكبرى والنبأ العظيم. وصل على الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين. وصل على سبطي الرحمة وإمامي الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. وصل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الهادي المهدي حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم وصل على ولي أمرك القائم المؤمل والعدل المنتظر وحفه بملائكتك المقربين وأيده بروح القدس يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعله الداعي إلى كتابك والقائم بدينك استخلفه في الأرض كما استخلفت الذين من قبله. مكن له دينه الذي ارتضيته له. أبدله من بعد خوفه أمنا يعبدك لا يشرك بك شيئا. اللهم أعزه وعزز به، وانصره وانتصر به، وانصره نصرا عزيزا، وافتح له فتحا يسيرا، واجعل له من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا. اللهم اظهر به دينك وسنة نبيك حتى لا يستخفي بشيء من الحق مخافة أحد من الخلق. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله، وتذل بها النفاق وأهله، وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك، وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملنا، وما قصرنا عنه فبلغنا. اللهم ألمم به شعثنا، واشعب به صدعنا، وارتق به فتقنا، وكثر به قلتنا، وعزز به ذلتنا، واغني به عائلنا، واقضي به عن مغرمنا، واجبر به فقرنا، وسد به خلتنا، ويسر به عسرنا، وبيض به وجوهنا، وفك به أسرنا، وانجح به طلبتنا، وانجز به مواعيدنا، واستجب به دعوتنا، واعطنا به سؤلنا، وبلغنا به من الدنيا والآخرة آمالنا، واعطنا به فوق رغبتنا يا خير المسؤولين وأوسع المعطين. اشف به صدورنا، واذهب به غيظ قلوبنا، واهدنا به لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك، إنك تهدي من تشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. وانصرنا به على عدوك وعدونا إله الحق آمين. اللهم إنا نشكو إليك فقد نبينا صلواتك عليه وآله، وغيبة ولينا، وكثرة عدونا، وقلة عددنا، وشدة الفتن بنا، وتظاهر الزمان علينا. فصل على محمد وآله، وعنا على ذلك بفتح منك تعجله، وبضر تكشف، ونصر تعز، وسلطان حق تظهر، ورحمة منك تجللناها، وعافية منك تلبسناها، برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Assalamu alaikum, brothers.
Tell them you need youth to go set up that area so that people can start moving. So tell them you need like 6 or 7 youth to get up and start moving chairs.
Guys, any young guys, can you please come help us set up the Arabic hall, please? 6, 7 guys, please.
أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. I hope everyone is ready for tonight. We do have a lot of amal to do. So we have a couple of announcements today before we start our lecture. First, I'd like to remind you guys that our Laylatul Qadr program is running Friday, Sunday, and Tuesday. So first night today, second night on Sunday, and third on Tuesday. Then we have the Urdu program Saturday from 6 to 8. And on the 29th, 30th, and 31st of the month, we have a sponsored iftar, and we would like to thank the Pakistani and Indian community for sponsoring the 30th night. The Quran competition deadline is on the 3rd, so please sign up before then, and the competition itself is on the 6th of April. And lastly, we have a youth program April 5th, and we have a youth program in discussion with Shaikh Moutaz. Now, if we can invite Samahat Shaikh to the minbar with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
حاضرين إلى أرواح مراجعنا العظام، لا سيما السيد الإمام روح الله الموسوي الخميني قدس سره الشريف، إلى أرواح شهدائنا شهداء الإسلام، شهداء الدفاع المقدس، شهداء على طريق القدس. رحم الله من قرأ السورة المباركة الفاتحة مسبوقة بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين، حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا، سيدنا ومولانا أبا القاسم محمد. عليه وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين، روح وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفدا، واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين منذ آدم إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. قال تعالى في محكم التنزيل بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: من المؤمنين رجال صدقوا ما عاهدوا الله عليه فمنهم من قضى نحبه ومنهم من ينتظر وما بدلوا تبديلا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل. We send our condolences to Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman, Ajjal Allahu Ta'ala Farajahu al-Sharif, our esteemed Maraja and the entire Ummah on the sad occasion of the striking of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Allah Ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, of the believers are men who are true to the covenant which they made with Allah. So of them is he who accomplished his vow, and of them is he who yet awaits. and they have not changed in the least. Sadaqallahu al-Aliyyul Azim. This verse that we opened up with, Allah Azza wa Jal revealed unto His Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi in relation to Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi afdalus salawati was salam. And it was revealed on the night that Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam slept in the bed of the Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. As most of you are aware of the story, Quraysh get together and they plan on ending the life of the Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. As they are planning on how they are going to assassinate Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, and who was going to take responsibility for the killing of the Holy Messenger so that they can not carry the blame alone. Because as you know, in Arab communities, especially back then, in a tribal society like Quraysh, if you were to kill a man from another tribe, then that entire tribe goes to war with you. So Quraysh did not want one tribe to go to war with Banu Hashim. Banu Hashim was a grand tribe, it was a great tribe. So they squabbled and they disagreed amongst themselves that who would carry the responsibility of the blood of the Holy Messenger sallallahu alaihi wa alihi. Who is going to go to war with Banu Hashim? Which tribe? Our narration says an elderly man comes dressed in ragged attire, a robe with his head covered. Our hadith later on say to us that this man himself was Iblis. He comes in the form of a man and he suggests to the tribe's leaders of Quraysh, he says, let each tribe amongst you select a young man. And each one of these young men will strike Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi at the same time, so that the blame is shared, and Quraysh cannot fight Hashim cannot fight all the tribes of Quraysh. So they agreed with this and they set the play in motion. On this night, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi begins his hijrah to Medina as Allah Ta'ala commands him, and Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam takes the place of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi in the bed, knowing that his life is at risk, knowing that he will most likely be killed, knowing that his life must be ransomed for the Holy Messenger sallallahu alaihi wa alihi, facing imminent death, Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam voluntarily and willingly sleeps in the bed of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam, so that Quraysh think that it is Muhammad in the bed, and they strike him and kill him. Allah Ta'ala intended that when they got there and they removed the sheets and came to strike Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, they realized that it was Ali alayhi salam in the bed and not Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, so they left him. And Allah Ta'ala sends down this verse in praise of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, one of hundreds of verses in the Holy Quran in reference to Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullahi alayhi. What is unique about this verse is the last part of it. وَمَا بَدَّلُوا تَبْدِيلًا. They did not change in the slightest. You see, the verse in general is talking about men who have dedicated and sold their souls to Allah Azza wa Jal. Men who have said to Allah Azza wa Jal, my entire being, my entire existence, my children, my wealth, even my soul, Ya Allah, is for you. Men who are true to the covenant with Allah Azza wa Jal. And amongst these men are those who had perished on this path. Our narrations say to us, وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ قَضَى نَحْبَهُ, those who had already been slain in this path. They say this is in reference to Ja'far alayhi salam, the brother of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, who was martyred in one of the campaigns of the Holy Messenger. And Al-Hamza Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam, the uncle of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ قَضَى نَحْبَهُ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَنْتَظِرُ. And there are those amongst them who wait. Awaiting what? Awaiting to meet that day where they can give all to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this was the state of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. His entire life, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, in service to Rasulullah. In service to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, not just in his intentions, but in his actions, where he more than one time gives his life in place of the Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa. The night in the bed of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi was not the first, nor was it the last. In fact, had it not been for Ali alayhi salam, the Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi would have been killed several times. We know from Islamic history and in our narrations that sometimes the Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi would come to a town to propagate Islam, and the children of that town will be set out by the elderly to attack the Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam says, for so long as I was by the side of the Holy Messenger, no stone would touch him, and they would all fall on my face. I would accept them, or I would face these stones with my face. On the day of Uhud, when the entire Islamic army abandoned the Holy Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and left him on the plains of Uhud to face the army of Khalid ibn al-Walid, our narration says that it was only Ali alayhi salam and one other companion that stood there defending the honor and the dignity and the life of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa. This was Ali alayhi salam. This was one aspect of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. These actions of Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullahi alayhi, this servitude to the Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, was not out of his relation to the Holy Messenger. It's not because Rasulullah was his cousin or his father-in-law or his blood relative that Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam did this. The covenant, as the holy verse says, Ahadullah, the covenant is with Allah Ta'ala himself. The Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi just so happens to be the carrier of this covenant. But this entire mission of Ali alayhi salam and all of his sacrifices was simply so that truth may prevail. And Ali alayhi salam was firm on the truth. Never did he sway, never did he compromise. This is the meaning of the end of the verse, وَمَا بَدَّلُوا تَبْدِيلًا. They did not change for the sake of this dunya or for the sake of anyone else. They did not fear anything for the sake of Allah Ta'ala. Their beliefs, their principles, their morals, their worldview, these people, Ali alayhi salam specifically, did not sway one bit. Being the epitome of Tawheed and the peak of Tawheed and the embodiment of Tawheed, Ali alayhi salam only has one truth. That is the truth of Allah and His Messenger. There was no other truth for Ali alayhi salam. He could not accept anything else. And it is for this reason that he was disliked. It is for this reason that Ali alayhi salam was hated. Forget about everything else you hear. That because he was young, because he was not qualified, all of this nonsense. What they hated about Ali alayhi salam was the fact that he did not compromise. وَمَا بَدَّلُوا تَبْدِيلًا. This is what they hated about Ali alayhi salam. That he was so firm in upholding truth and making the truth known, it made people feel uncomfortable. You see, the first three khulafa, they made the ummah accustomed to cutbacks. With their conquests and all of this wealth coming into the ummah, many of the companions of the Holy Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they made great wealth. Many of the companions of the Holy Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam received funding from Baytul Mal, the treasury of the Muslims, money which they did not earn. And a blind eye was turned to much of the corruption that took place. The corruption reached a stage in the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that the people, the Muslims, the common Muslims rose up against the third Khalifa. Because poverty had ravaged some and wealth had made a very few people elevate in society. To the extent that they rebelled and they protested and they overthrew the third Khalifa, eventually killing him. And these very same people came to the house of Ali alayhi salam, begging him after 25 years, begging him, Ya Ali, take the reins of this ummah. Save us from the corruption of the three before you. We cannot tolerate it anymore. We cannot tolerate it anymore. When he alayhi salam took the reins of leadership, he changed the direction of the energies of this ummah. He put a stop to the conquest, the futuhat, and he said it's time for us to clean in-house. We need to reform Islam from within. We need to return Islam to the days of the Holy Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In fact, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam before this was offered the Khilafah. After the second Khalifa passed away, he appointed the Shura, and they approached Ali alayhi salam and they said to him, would you take this Khilafah and rule in accordance with the Book of Allah, the Sunnah of the Holy Messenger, and the Sunnah of the Shaykhain, the two Khulafa before you? Amir al-Mu'mineen said, no. I will rule by the Book of Allah and by the Sunnah of the Holy Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and my understanding of the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I will not accept any other Sunnah. No other Sunnah. So they skipped him and they opted for Uthman. Uthman agreed. He said, yeah, I will stick to the Sunnah of the two before. When Ali alayhi salam finally took the reins, he began to reform the ummah. He began to return the ummah to the days of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. Corruption had filled the ummah and was rampant to the extent that even the salat of the believers had changed. One of the companions narrates, he says, I walked into Masjid al-Kufa and I saw the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. I saw a group of them crying. And I said to them, what is it that makes you cry? They said, we are watching Ali pray. And he reminded us of the salat of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. This is how we used to pray. at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. We lost our salat. Our salat had changed after him. But this caused him enmity. Ali alayhi salam struggled in reforming the corruption of 25 years, in changing the ways of the people. So much so is that when he first entered Kufa in the month of Ramadan, he found the people performing Taraweeh in congregation. And he said to them, by Allah, this is an innovation. As you all know, Taraweeh, and this is by admittance of our brothers and sisters, they admit to this, that the Taraweeh prayer is an innovation of the second Khalif. The Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alih commanded the Muslims to pray the nawafil individually and at home. When Ali alayhi salam reminded the Muslims of this and said to them, by Allah, the Holy Messenger had never prayed Taraweeh in congregation, or this nafilatul layl in Shahr Ramadan in congregation, and he had commanded us to pray it individually and in our homes, a riot was about to break out in the streets of Kufa. Wa sunnat Umara. Ali is coming to destroy the sunnah of the second Khalif. The government of Ali alayhi salam was threatened because the people wanted to hold on to that which they were accustomed to, and not the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal. For this reason, people would turn around and say, La taqata lana ala adalati Ali. We cannot tolerate the justice of Ali alayhi salam. Ali is too firm on truth. He doesn't waver. He doesn't give kickbacks. To the point where even family members of his, in the famous story of Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah, in the story of Aqil, the brother of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He was an elderly man, a blind man, and a poor man with many children. And he comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam and he says to him, Ya Ali, I am poorer than most. Give me an extra portion from Baytul Mal. Give me an extra portion. I'm your brother, Ya Ali. Because those before him, they did this. They looked after their relatives. They looked after their tribes people. They gave them extra. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam says to him, Oh brother, bring your hand forward. He brings his hand forward expecting that Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam would give him extra money. Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullahi alayhi brings a coal, a hot piece of coal, fahm, and he brings it close to the hand of Aqil. Aqil withdraws his hand. He says, Do you intend to burn me, brother? He says to him, Brother, the fire of the dunya you could not tolerate. You wish to eat from the fire of the akhirah. This was the justice of Ali alayhi salam. When we come and we claim this tashayyu' of today, when I claim this love and this affiliation to Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, and I see him as my Imam, and I see him as my path to Allah Azza wa Jal, how many of us see ourselves firm in the religion of Allah Ta'ala and firm in exposing and upholding the truth? How many of us are not afraid to speak the truth? How many of us are not afraid or are brave enough to establish the religion of Allah Ta'ala in my personal affairs, in my home, amongst my family members, in society, outside, and not waver? How many of us are truly Haydari? Or have we taken the sunnah of those before Ali alayhi salam and made compromises on our religion? So many times I hear, especially out here in the West, anytime I visit any community, they say to me, Shaykh, please, before, alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, it hasn't happened here. This is a very brave community. For that, give yourselves a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. It hasn't happened here. You should be very proud that it has not happened. But sometimes I'll be approached, or not just myself, any of my brothers, the talaba, may Allah Azza wa Jal protect them and elevate them and preserve them and keep them in service of this religion. But we often get approached that, please, this particular topic or that particular subject, please don't speak about it on the minbar. It's sensitive, it could get us into trouble. Avoid these sorts of discussions and subjects, please. Avoid this, and it's a long list of things that we are asked to avoid. Avoid A and B and C and D and E. In the end, we're left with storytelling and a few ahkam on tahara najasa, yeah? And a few tales, maybe some poetry. This is what we are left with. And the religion of Allah Ta'ala is not upheld. And the law of Allah Ta'ala is forgotten. And then later on down the track, when we are faced with some calamity which has befallen our youth, and our youth have lost their identity and they have lost their religion, we turn around and we say, where are the shuyukh? Say, Habibi, you censored the shuyukh. You were too afraid to speak out. You were too afraid to make the truth clear. You say, yes, because it was hard. We did not want to have any confrontation. Say, did you think carrying the truth was easy? Was it ever meant to be easy? When you are a carrier of truth, when you are a carrier of the religion of Allah Ta'ala, the road and the path is not meant to be simple and smooth. In fact, when you uphold the truth, Allah Ta'ala refers to this as jihad. There needs to be a struggle. You need to swim against the tide. This is the path of the prophets of Allah Ta'ala. You think that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi came to the people of Mecca and said to them, Allah is one, and they said, Allah is one? You think this is what happened? You think he came and he said to them, pray 5 times a day, and they said, yes, we'll pray 5 times a day, and they just sam'a wa ta'an, they just submitted? Or did he struggle to establish the truth? If you are not struggling with this truth, then question how much of this truth you are carrying. The road is long and it is hard. And it's required of you to get uncomfortable sometimes. You must get uncomfortable. And I cannot waver. You know, brothers and sisters, I grew up in the West, right? So I think I have a right to speak sometimes. I'm not, I didn't come from the villages of southern Lebanon or the Bekaa Valley or Qom or Iran. I grew up in southwest Sydney my entire life. And we suffered. As a Muslim youth, we suffered because the generation before us was so afraid that they would not assimilate, and they were so eager to fit in that much of our religion was lost to political correctness. Much of it. By the time we grew up and we wanted to hold on to our religion, much of what we were accustomed to was not Islam. They would say to us, for example, that hijab is not necessary in the West. If it's gonna harm you, sister, you're not gonna get a job, you're not gonna get that degree, it's gonna make you feel uncomfortable, it's okay, hijab is in the heart. They used to say to us that, you know what, brother, if praying is the only way you can pray is at work in front of the non-Muslim and you're afraid that he's gonna look at you in a particular way, don't worry about it. Just pray when you get at home. This is okay. Focus on being a successful member of society. Show the non-believer an Islam of love and truth and peace and mercy. This was our primary concern, making others fall in love with Islam, but not actual Islam, making them fall in love with a whitewashed, watered down version of Islam. This is what we presented to the non-believer. And we never presented it to them with the intention that, you know what, I want him to come to Islam. Because this is not an Islam that he would come to. We presented it to him in a manner that, you know what, please, I am like you. We are much like you. We were always concerned with being like the disbeliever all the time. Always concerned with pleasing him. I know some of you are getting a little bit uneasy looking at me. Yeah? Sallu ala Muhammad. See some of the older uncles there, they're getting a bit nervous, so I'm about to. But this is the truth. This was the truth. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, I say that our youth today, with all due respect to my father and his generation, with all due respect, our youth today are more concerned with holding on to the orthodox tenets of Islam. Because they experienced the West, and they experienced that culture, and they experienced that philosophy, and they saw the flaws in it, and they saw the dangers in it, and they saw how far away it was from the moral fabric of humanity. We lost many youth to this culture. Many youth. Some of them lost their lives, others worse, they lost their religion. But our youth today are waking up, and there's a call to return to Orthodox Islam. An Islam which does not waver, and a Muslim youth who does not compromise his religion. Do not be concerned ever in pleasing the other side, whoever that side may be. Whoever that side may be. Ali alayhi salam, your Imam who you commemorate tonight, had his head crushed just so he does not compromise. On a morning like the morning coming, the head of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was split because he did not wish to compromise his faith in order to please others. You know, I had an interesting conversation with the brothers last night. Inshallah, I won't take too much of your time because we have a long program. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. About how we should be presenting Islam to the West today. And this is a conversation that I have with many youth all over the world. And they're confused because, unfortunately, forgive me, but we're in a very sensitive time. And you need to understand the urgency of the age that we are in. You need to understand that out here, in the West today, don't forget about, but aside from what's happening to your brothers and sisters overseas, but you, brothers and sisters, you are definitely, by every means of the word, at war. You are at war. The very identity of the human being is being attacked today. Of the human being. And this war is so savage and so vicious and so cruel that it has thrown societies into a program of mass confusion. They are left in a storm of confusion. Never in our lives, in the history of mankind, was man confused as much as he is today, where we do not even know who we are or what it means to be a human being. 50 years ago, not even, 20 years ago. If you said to me, when I was 18 years old, mankind will reach a point where they are confused on their own gender, I would say you are insane. How can one be confused on something which is so clear? And why is it that this machine of mass confusion has imposed upon our youth this ideology, shoved it down his throat, forced him to accept it, forced him to question his very essence? So yes, you are in danger today. Your humanity before your religion. And unfortunately, because we compromised on issues before this, because this pulpit compromised on issues before this, we are being forced to compromise today. Because we did not stand up in the past on issues relating to the ummah, relating to our youth, relating to Islam as a whole, today we find no backbone to stand up to this. We're so afraid. We're afraid of getting cancelled. I had one brother, may Allah Azza wa Jal guide him, massive following, massive social media platform. When I asked him, brother, why is it that when it comes to issues of the ummah, why is it when it comes to the slaughtering of our children and our women, you have not used this platform to speak out? Why is it when it comes to these issues of the youth, issues of gender or non-gender, why have you not spoken out? He says, oh, I will get cancelled, they will close my accounts. This is how weak we've become, where we are afraid to lose our social media accounts. And then we claim that we are lovers of Ali alayhi salam, Ali who sleeps in the bed of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi. Ali who doesn't waver or compromise and stands firm in front of the entire ummah. In Jamal and in Siffin and in Nahrawan, against the entire ummah, alone Ali alayhi salam stands. But we've turned Ali alayhi salam into a bunch of rituals, a fairy tale. We take some anecdotes and quotes from him, where the sayings of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam wal iyadu billah become equivalent to what? To those that we find on Hallmark cards. This is all it is. Ali alayhi salam is a man that just said nice things. But do I live like Ali? Am I firm like Ali in a world that needs Ali alayhi salam the most today? You have a responsibility. Wallah, the non-Muslim before the Muslim is seeking answers and a solution to this disaster he is in. The non-Muslim is concerned. At the end of the day, they are human beings. They are losing their children. Their children are losing their identities. They're committing suicide. They are being manipulated by the system into convincing them that they are neither this nor that, that they don't need to be male or female, they can be whatever they want. It's all fluid. Women today, the fifth wave of feminism today is a call for a return to the traditional family. These are non-Muslims making these calls. You and I, brothers and sisters, who have been given this religion which has preserved these values and maintained these values, we now have an opportunity to present Islam as the solution. And if we are going to take up this opportunity, or should I say rather, this obligation of what we call tabyin, making things clear, then we cannot waver. We need to be firm. We need to be the saviors of humanity. We need to present to them an Islam which is going to rescue them from the filth that they are in. And wallahi, they want it. They want it. They are begging for it. Just like those who came to the door of Ali alayhi salam after 25 years of corruption, begging him, Ya Ali, save us from the filth of the three before you. Humanity now is searching for a savior. And that savior, brothers and sisters, is you. Do not present Islam in this wishy-washy manner. Do not make Islam look like it has compromised. Otherwise we end up like, you know who? We end up like the Catholic Church. Speak to your Catholic brothers and sisters. Ask them about the values and the traditions of their grandfathers and see if they still hold on to these values today. Where the Catholic Church in itself as an institution may compromise upon compromise upon compromise, that today it has just succumbed to the atrocities being committed in society today against human beings and humanity. It has succumbed. It cannot say anything. The Pope himself fears being cancelled by his own flock. By his own flock. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alayhi. What we want today, and we'll be discussing in the coming nights, we want an age, a generation of Muslims who happily identify with their Islam, happily identify with their morals, happily identify with the ethics of Allah Azza wa Jal, and do not waver, where they are happy to stand in front of all of society and say this is corruption, and this is a corruption that we refuse. Whatever the price may be, we pay it. And we pay it with our heads held high. Otherwise, it is your youth, the next generation, who will curse you. They will curse you. Community leaders, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility because you are the door to Islam in these communities. Islam is known through you. Muslims and non-Muslims come to you for their religion. Those who are in charge of these manabir have a responsibility in choosing who they place up here. We can no longer put on these pulpits those who have cut the legs from beneath our youth. Those who have disarmed our youth, who have presented to them an Islam which is flaky, a whitewashed Islam, an Islam which I like to refer to the Islam of the house Muslim, the yes boss, no sir Islam. This is not Islam. This is not the Islam of Ali alayhi salam. Allah Ta'ala commands you in the Holy Quran. And it is a clear symbol, a clear equation that Allah gives. Very clear. If you want victory, you want to be successful, you want to be saved, you want your youth to be saved, you want to protect yourselves from the corruptions of society, this is not achieved with wishy-washy diplomacy. This is not achieved by weakness. This is not achieved by compromising. This is achieved in one way and one way only. Allah Ta'ala is clear. وَإِن تَنصُرُوا اللَّهَ يَنصُرُكُمْ. If you are helpers of Allah, you uphold the word of Allah Ta'ala, you preserve the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal as it is without any corruptions, and you do not concern yourself with pleasing others. I'll end with this issue of pleasing because it really, really annoys me, brothers and sisters. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alihi. And we'll expand on this tomorrow night and the coming nights. But let me just leave you with this tonight, because tonight is the night of Amir al-Mu'mineen. As we said, when our parents moved out here, they concerned themselves a lot with pleasing the non-Muslims. We never wanted to appear to them that we were inferior or different. And in fact, all we were doing at that time is showing them that we were inferior. And that it was their ways which was progressive, and their ways were democratic and liberal, and we did not want to appear backwards. Right? How many times do you hear this? هَلَّا بِيحْكُوا عَلَيْنَا. They will speak about us. We were so concerned about this. Because we turned a blind eye, we were carriers of the Quran, but we did not understand the Quran. And if we understood the Quran, we did not have faith in the promise of Allah Ta'ala. Allah Azza wa Jal, is He truthful or not? He is truthful, right? When He makes a promise, Allah Ta'ala is truthful. In the Arabic language, we have two words that look alike. We have lan and lam, right? Lam, la, mim, and lan, la, noon. When it's lam, mim, lam, lam ya'ti Ali. Ali has not come yet. He may come later. Lan ya'ti Ali. Ali has not come. He will never come. He will most definitely never come. It is definite. This will never happen. Allah Ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Remember this promise of Allah. Remember it in your hearts. Remember it in all of your actions. Remember it when you are out there in society faced with this choice. Do I hold on to my religion or do I please society? Remember this promise of Allah. وَلَن تَرْضَى عَنْكَ الْيَهُودُ وَلَا النَّصَارَى حَتَّى تَتَّبِعَ مِلَّتَهُمْ. Your Jewish brothers and sisters and the Christians will never be pleased with you, Allah is saying to you. They will never, lan, mustahil, don't even try. They will never be pleased with your ways until you follow their religion. And this is not an indication that you must become a Christian or you must become a Jew. No, follow their ways, meaning be this whitewashed Muslim. This is the Muslim they love. They love the Muslim who is pro-capitalist. They love the Muslim who is liberal. They love the Muslim who is to the left. They love the Muslim who is okay with whatever moral corruptions are happening out there in society. They love the Muslim who is silent. They love the Muslim who has a drink with them. They love the Muslim who shakes hands with the opposite gender. This is a good Muslim. This is the Muslim they invite to the White House and the Black House. These are the Muslims they love. This is حَتَّى تَتَّبِعَ مِلَّتَهُمْ. This is what it means when you strip down your Islam and you resemble nothing from Islam but its name. This is the Islam they love. Apart from that, don't worry about it, Allah is telling you. I'm promising you, Allah is saying. I guarantee you, Allah is saying. They will not be pleased with you. Do not waste your efforts. Do not waste your efforts. Your Imam, salamullahi alayhi, on a night like tonight, in an ocean of corruption like the ocean of corruption that we are swimming in tonight, stands alone in Kufa as the flag bearer of truth, not wavering left or right. that when they come to him and say to him, Ya Ali, if you just compromised a little bit, you will save yourself much trouble. When he, salamullahi alayhi, was appointing governors, one of his advisors said to him, leave Muawiyah as governor of Sham. Muawiyah can benefit you. Muawiyah is popular in Sham. If you remove him, you will fall out of favor with the people of Sham. And you will fall out of favor with Banu Umayyah, and they will cause you much difficulty. Ali alayhi salam says to him, come, give me a guarantee. Because he says to him, leave him in power. When you are then strong, Ya Ali, remove him. But for now, leave him. He says to him, come, give me a guarantee from Allah Azza wa Jal that I will live long enough to remove Muawiyah. Or give me a guarantee that if I die before I remove him, Allah Azza wa Jal will forgive me for allowing his corruption to run rampant. Do you guarantee me this? He says no. He says, then by Allah, I will not leave this corruption, even if it was going to cost me my own life. I cannot leave it. I'm responsible in front of Allah Azza wa Jal. Corruptions of the society drained Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam to the extent he stands in front of his own army and he says to them, you have filled my heart with pus. ملأتم قلبي قيح. May Allah Azza wa Jal give me those who are better than you and give you he who is worse than me. Because they didn't want truth. They didn't want to uphold truth. Lonely Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, imagine, he is the commander of the faithful, the leader of the Muslims. On a night like tonight, because he is alone in truth, he breaks his fast at the house of his daughter Kulthum. And he is presented with a very simple meal. A bit of barley wheat, some bread with no yeast, meaning the bread is hard, and some yogurt. When he looks at this meal, Kulthum says that he breaks down crying loudly. And she says to him, why do you cry? He says, when have you seen your father ever sit at a banquet with more than one type of food? Know, my daughter, that this dunya, whatever is halal, you will be asked about on the Day of Judgment. And whatever is haram, you will be punished for on the Day of Judgment. He breaks his simple fast on this hard loaf of bread. And Ali alayhi salam retreats into worship. Our narration says that he goes outside into the courtyard of his daughter Kulthum. And he starts to wander around the courtyard, looking up at the sky. Before this, it was known, customary in the month of Ramadan, that throughout the month Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam would ask his son Al-Hasan, Ya Hasan, have we passed the first 10 nights of Ramadan? And Al-Hasan alayhi salam would say yes. He says, when will he come, the most wretched of Allah's creation, so that he may dye the blood of this with this, so that he may dye this with the blood of this, indicating the blood from his head dyeing his beard. He was waiting for Ibn Muljam his entire life. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَنْتَظِرُ. But this night was different. Ali alayhi salam didn't need to ask Al-Hasan alayhi salam. When they see him walking in the courtyard, gazing up at the skies, gazing at the stars and the formation of the planets, Ali alayhi salam, he knows. He says, by Allah, this is it. Hadi hiya. This is the night promised to me by my brother Muhammad sallallahu alaihi. He starts to talk to himself. Prepare yourself for death, Ya Ali, for death has arrived in your valley. The people of his household hearing this, they become concerned with Ali alayhi salam. Just before Salatul Subh, he salamullahi alayhi begins to make his way or intends to make his way to the masjid. Our narrations say to us that there was a flock of geese that he had bought for Kulthum. He had given her them as a gift. And they start to flutter around Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam as if to prevent him from leaving. He makes his way past the flock. Even the door of his home would not open for Ali alayhi salam, as if Kufa itself wants to hold on to Ali. The sky of Kufa, the walls of Kufa, the birds of Kufa do not want to farewell Ali. They feel that this is a strange night. Salamullahi alayhi makes his way to the masjid. In the masjid he finds a man sleeping on his stomach. And this man is none other than the wretched Ibn Muljam. He says to him, Ya Hada, O you, do not sleep the sleep of shaitan. For I have heard the Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi say, the one who sleeps on his stomach sleeps the sleep of shaitan. Turn over and do not be afraid. I know what you conceal. Meaning, I know you are concealing your sword. This is why you're sleeping on your stomach. Ali alayhi salam is now certain of what is to come. But he salamullahi alayhi does not waver. He has an appointment with the Almighty. He has an appointment with Allah Ta'ala. It is the appointment of Salat. He gets up and he proclaims the Adhan. The Muslims begin to gather around him for Salat. He performs his Iqamah and then enters his Salat. As he is coming up from the first Sajda, Ibn Muljam, behind him like a devilish snake. He knows that I cannot get Ali alayhi salam until he is engaged in worship. Until Ali alayhi salam is distracted in conversation with Allah Azza wa Jal. It is only here that I can get Ali alayhi salam. Even the enemies of Ali salamullahi alayhi, they knew his strength in his worship. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la wa bihamdih. Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Ali alayhi salam comes up from this sujood. Allahu Akbar. And the sword of Ibn Muljam falls right on the head of Ali alayhi salam. All of Kufa, brothers and sisters, all of Kufa unanimously, they hear the voice of Ali. The verse we open up with, وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَنْتَظِرُ. All his life, Ali alayhi salam is waiting for this one moment, this strike from Ibn Muljam. Ali alayhi salam does not view it as defeat. In fact, Ali alayhi salam, for the first time in his life, proclaims proudly with a smile, the blood dripping down his face, "Fuztu wa Rabbil Kaaba." I am victorious by the God of the Kaaba. Ya Rasulallah, your promise is true. Ya Rasulallah, have I held on to the covenant? Are you pleased with me, Ya Muhammad? I did not waver, Ya Rasulallah, as I promised you. I did not compromise, Ya Rasulallah, as I promised you and as you promised me, Ya Muhammad. As you promised me. The blood of my head has now dyed my beard. Allah Ta'ala has finally given me this victory. I can finally join the ranks of my brother Ja'far and my uncle Hamza and you, Ya Rasulullah. And tonight, I join my beloved Fatima alayhi salam. And then the caller from the heavens, which everyone in Kufa testifies to. By Allah, تهدمت والله أركان الهدى. By Allah, the pillars of guidance have been destroyed. Ali, the cousin and the brother of Rasulullah, has been destroyed. This Ali, which carried the door of Khaybar with one hand, is now being carried to his home. His wound is deep. The poison from the sword has seeped into his body. He cannot walk. Al-Hasan on one side, Al-Hussein on the other, Al-Abbas alayhi salam walking ahead. But just before he gets to the house, he says to them, "Leave me. Leave me." Our narrators say, he says, "Leave me, I do not want to." There is someone in this house which is dear to the heart of Ali. Someone who cannot bear anymore to see her loved ones taken one after another. Someone who witnessed the demise of her grandfather Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa and was there to witness the withering away and the martyrdom of her mother Fatima alayha salam. Someone who Ali alayhi salam does not want to break the heart of. In this house is Zainab alayhi salam. Leave me, I do not want Zainab alayha salam to see me in this state. But Ali alayhi salam, Al-Karrar, the one who constantly moves forward, cannot move his feet anymore towards the house. And they are forced to carry him. And when he enters the house, the greatest of tragedies, the blessed eyes of Zainab alayhi salam fall upon Ali alayhi salam. She sees the blood gushing from his head and being carried. Zainab alayhi salam cries out, "Wa Aliya, wa Abata." Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم واهلك عدوهم. Together, اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله وتذل بها النفاق وأهله، وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك، وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة بمحمد وعترته الطاهرة صلواتك عليه وعليهم أجمعين.
اهلين حبيبي. احنا دو عشان حماس.
I don't think so. خلاص. هون الريسايترز.
I'm gonna the long one. It looks long.
نستنى بالدعاء ان شاء الله.